Welcome back to the Nature Cures podcast. We're all about natural healing here, holistic wellness, letting your healthiest life naturally.
Absolutely.
And today we're going to dive into some really fascinating ideas about improving your vision naturally.
Yeah.
Have you ever considered that maybe glasses aren't the only answer to eyesight problems?
It's a question a lot of people ask, especially as they start to notice their vision changing.
Right.
And the material we're looking at today suggests that what we often think of as defective vision might actually be more of a functional issue,
Okay.
not a permanent condition.
Interesting. So what does that actually mean for someone who's dealing with nearsightedness or farsightedness?
Well, it kind of challenges that assumption that our eyes are just broken and need to be fixed with glasses.
Hmm.
Instead, it suggests that maybe there's something deeper going on,
Right.
something we can potentially address, through these natural methods.
So you're saying there's a chance we have more control over our eye health than we think?
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah. I'm intrigued, but I've got to admit, I'm also a bit skeptical.
Sure.
What about the idea that glasses actually worsen vision over time?
Yeah.
Is there any truth to that?
It's a pretty provocative idea.
Yeah.
And the material we're looking at today points to some interesting arguments.
Okay.
For example, it suggests that constantly wearing glasses can limit the natural movement of our eyes,
Uh-huh.
almost like they're getting parked in one position.
Makes sense. Yeah. If you're always looking through the center of the lens, your eye muscles aren't really working out that much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And over time, that lack of movement could lead to muscle degeneration.
Oh, wow.
There's also the issue of reduced blinking when we wear glasses, which can impact how well our eyes stay lubricated and healthy.
So it's like glasses are a crutch that can actually weaken our eyes over time.
Potentially, yeah.
That's definitely a different way of looking at things.
It is. And it leads us to the next point, which is the potential root causes of vision problems.
Yep.
This material we're diving into today highlights three main culprits:
All right. I'm all ears.
mental strain,
Okay.
diet, and the blood and nerve supply to your eyes.
Gotcha.
So let's start with mental strain.
Okay.
The material actually goes into the work of Dr. W.H. Bates, who had some pretty radical ideas
Okay.
about how our minds impact our vision.
All right. Now we're getting into the interesting stuff.
Yeah.
I've heard of Dr. Bates, but I've never really dug into his theories.
He was a bit of a maverick in the ophthalmology world,
Okay.
but he believed that mental strain was the primary cause of vision problems.
Wow.
And when you think about it, we live in a world that's constantly bombarding our eyes with information, right?
Yeah.
Staring at screens, focusing on close-up tasks for hours.
Totally.
All of this puts a lot of strain on our visual system.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that.
For sure.
I spend way too much time staring at my computer or my phone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Bates argued that this constant strain leads to tension in the eye muscles, which ultimately affects how clearly we see.
Wow.
He even pinpointed specific habits,
Mm.
like frowning, squinting, and trying too hard to see as contributing factors.
So it's not just about external factors like lighting or genetics, right?
Right.
Our mental state can play a huge role in this too.
Absolutely.
That's so interesting.
He even developed a whole system of eye exercises and relaxation techniques,
Wow.
specifically designed to address this mental strain.
Mm.
We won't really dive into all of that today,
Okay.
but it's worth noting that his methods were pretty controversial, but also quite popular in their time.
Makes you wonder how much our modern lifestyle is contributing to vision problems.
It's a great point, and it kind of ties into that next culprit we talked about,
Okay.
like diet.
Right. Can't forget about what we eat.
Yeah.
How does diet specifically affect our eyesight?
Well, this material emphasizes that our eyes are part of our body, right?
Right.
They're not these separate entities.
Yeah.
So anything that affects our overall health is going to affect our eyes as well.
Makes sense.
And it points to certain dietary choices as potentially contributing to vision problems.
Like what kind of foods are we talking about here?
It specifically mentions a diet that's high in starch, sugar, and protein
Okay.
as potentially causing this clogging effect in the body.
Clogging. That sounds unpleasant.
Yeah, not great.
What does that actually mean?
Well, the idea is that these types of foods can create this buildup of waste products and toxins, and that buildup can affect the delicate muscles and blood vessels that are surrounding our eyes,
Wow.
potentially leading to vision impairment.
So it's not just about eating carrots for better vision.
Right.
It's about a whole approach to diet.
Absolutely.
Gotcha.
This material is actually a big advocate for a natural, uncooked diet for improving vision.
Okay.
Think fresh fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds.
Makes sense.
Foods that are packed with nutrients and antioxidants.
What about the third culprit you mentioned, the blood and nerve supply to the eyes?
Yeah, this is where it gets a little more into the mechanics of how our bodies work.
Okay.
The material suggests that mechanical interference in the upper spine, particularly like in the neck area,
Okay.
can restrict blood flow and nerve signals to the eyes.
Wait, so you're telling me that tight muscles in my neck could actually be impacting my vision?
That's what it's suggesting.
Wow.
It highlights how interconnected our bodies are
Yeah.
and how seemingly unrelated issues can have these far-reaching effects.
That's crazy.
Think about it. The nerves that control our eyes branch off from the spinal cord in the neck.
Right.
So if there's tension or misalignment there, it can hinder that flow of nutrients and those nerve impulses to the eyes.
That's mind-blowing. I never would guess that my neck could be affecting my eyesight.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
So we've talked about the potential downsides of relying solely on glasses.
Right.
The three main culprits behind vision problems.
Yeah.
This interconnectedness of our bodies, it's all incredibly interesting. But I'm really curious to hear about some of these natural treatments
Yeah.
that this material is suggesting.
That's where things get really exciting, and that's exactly what we're going to dive into next.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we're back and ready to get into those natural treatments you mentioned.
Yeah, let's do it.
Where do we even begin?
Well, the material covers a lot of ground.
Okay.
From simple eye exercises to dietary adjustments, even some yogic practices.
Wow.
So why don't we start with those eye exercises,
Okay.
which are all about strengthening and revitalizing the eye muscles.
Sounds promising.
What kind of exercises are we talking about here?
Yeah.
Well, the material lists several simple exercises that involve moving the eyes in different directions, up and down, side to side,
Oh.
focusing near and far, and even circular motions.
So basically giving your eyes a workout, just like any other muscle in our body.
Exactly like we exercise other muscles. The key is to do these movements slowly and gently.
Okay.
Maintain a comfortable posture. You don't need to strain or overdo it.
Makes sense. Consistency is key, right? Just like with any exercise routine.
Absolutely. Regular practice can lead to the most noticeable results.
Got it. So let's talk about neck exercises.
Yes.
You mentioned earlier that tension in the neck can restrict blood flow and nerve signals to the eyes.
Right.
So what kind of exercises can help with that?
Yeah, these exercises focus on releasing that tension in the neck and shoulders, improving circulation to the head.
Okay.
Things like neck rotations, shoulder rolls, head tilts, and side-to-side turns can all be helpful.
Right. Those are pretty standard stretches. Most people are probably familiar with those.
Right.
It's amazing to think that something as simple as loosening up your neck could potentially benefit your vision.
Yeah, it really shows how interconnected our bodies are.
Yeah.
Sometimes the solution to one problem lies in addressing something seemingly totally unrelated.
Wow. Okay. This next one I'm particularly curious about. Sungazing.
Yeah.
It sounds a bit unconventional to say the least.
Yes, this one definitely requires caution
Okay.
and should always be done with careful attention to the instructions.
Gotcha.
It involves standing with your eyes closed while swaying gently from side to side and then opening your eyes briefly to blink a few times at the sun.
Okay.
Before looking at some greenery.
So the key is limited exposure and proper technique.
Exactly.
It's not about staring at the sun for like long periods of time.
Right.
Because that just sounds dangerous.
Yeah, the material really emphasizes that safety is paramount.
Okay.
But done correctly, it suggests that sungazing can be beneficial for short-sightedness and eye inflammation.
That's fascinating. But I think I'll definitely do some more research.
Sure.
And maybe consult with my eye doctor.
Good idea.
Before I try that one.
Absolutely.
Okay. Let's move on to a couple of techniques that sound a bit more relaxing.
Okay.
Splashing and palming.
Yeah, those are both great.
Yeah.
Simple but effective methods for soothing and revitalizing the eyes. Splashing involves gently splashing cold water on your closed eyes and then patting them dry with a towel.
Right.
It's meant to improve blood flow and just kind of refresh the eyes.
Sounds invigorating.
Yes. And what about palming?
Yeah, what's calming?
Palming is a relaxation technique
Okay.
where you cover your closed eyes with your palms, allowing your elbows to rest comfortably on your knees.
Okay.
And the idea is to create complete darkness
Gotcha.
and visualize this deep blackness,
Okay.
which helps to relieve strain and relax the eye muscles.
Yeah, that one sounds incredibly relaxing. I could definitely use a bit of that right now.
We all could.
So we've got eye exercises, neck exercises, sun gazing, splashing, and palming.
Right.
What else is there?
Well, we can't forget about those dietary recommendations.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Remember we were talking earlier about how certain foods can kind of clog the body and impact eye health?
Right, the whole clogging concept.
c-
So what does this material suggest in terms of like a healthy diet for vision?
Well, it emphasizes this natural, uncooked diet as the ideal way to nourish and support your eyes.
Okay.
Think fresh fruits and vegetables, especially things like leafy greens, root vegetables, and colorful fruits.
So basically a rainbow on your plate for healthy eyes.
Exactly.
I like that.
It also mentions nuts, seeds, dried fruits, and dairy products as being part of a healthy diet for vision.
Okay, so lots of whole unprocessed foods.
Right.
What about things to avoid?
Yeah, so the material specifically cautions against processed foods,
Okay.
excessive meat consumption, white sugar, white bread pastries.
Gotcha.
Basically anything that's heavily refined or processed.
Okay.
And it even advises limiting your intake of cereals, even whole grains.
It seems like the common thread here is to just stick to foods that are as close to their natural state as possible.
Exactly.
Gotcha. And there's a particular emphasis on vitamin A for vision health.
Right, vitamin A is good for your eyes.
Yeah, we all learned that as kids.
We did.
What are some good sources of vitamin A, according to this material?
It lists things like cod liver oil, spinach turnip tops, cream butter, and egg yolks as excellent sources of vitamin A.
That's quite a variety.
It is.
It's interesting how so many different factors can influence our eye health.
Yeah, it really highlights the importance of that holistic approach.
Yeah.
It's not about addressing one specific issue.
Right.
It's about taking care of your overall health and well-being.
Now, earlier you mentioned something about yogic practices for eye health.
Yes.
I'm intrigued. What can you tell us about that?
Well, the material mentions a specific type of yogic eye exercise called Tritaka.
Tritaka.
Yes. It involves focusing your gaze on a single point, like a candle flame,
Okay.
for an extended period of time.
That sounds intense. What's the purpose of that?
It's said to strengthen the optic nerve and improve concentration.
Interesting. Are there any other yogic practices that are mentioned?
Yes, it lists several yoga poses and breathing techniques that are believed to be beneficial for eye health.
Like,
Poses like the shoulder stand, the plow pose, and the fish pose are mentioned, as well as breathing exercises like alternate nostril breathing and the cooling breath.
wow. Those all sound like they could be really helpful.
They do.
Unfortunately, we don't have a ton of time to delve into all the specifics of those today.
Right.
But this deep dive has already given us so much to think about
It has.
and to explore further.
Yes.
That's a lot to consider. You know, we've covered so many potential causes of vision problems and natural ways to improve eyesight.
Yeah.
But how does someone listening actually put all this information into practice?
Yeah, it can definitely feel a little overwhelming.
Yeah.
But I think that's where the real journey begins, right?
Okay.
It's not about trying to do everything all at once.
Right.
It's more about starting with what resonates the most with you.
Okay.
Maybe you're really drawn to those eye exercises, or perhaps overhauling your diet feels like a good first step.
So small changes applied consistently.
Exactly. And it's also important to remember that everybody is different, right?
Okay.
What works wonders for one person might not have the same effect on another.
Makes sense.
So it's really about listening to your body and finding what feels right for you.
It's like a personalized approach to eye care,
Exactly.
tailored to your own needs and lifestyle.
Precisely. And as you experiment with these different techniques, just pay attention to how your body responds, what feels good, what brings those noticeable improvements.
Okay.
And you know that feedback will guide you towards the most effective strategies for you.
It's almost like becoming your own eye health detective.
I love that.
Yeah.
And as you kind of embark on this journey, remember that patience is key.
What?
Natural methods often take time to show results.
Right. It's not a quick fix.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
more of a long-term commitment
Yeah.
to nurturing your eye health.
Speaking of long term, this material we were looking at, it barely even touched on those yoga practices. Tritaka exercises in particular sound really interesting.
Yeah.
Where can listeners go to learn more about those?
That's a great question. There's actually a whole world of traditional practices out there
Yeah.
that offer a really different perspective on eye health.
Hmm.
Yoga studios, Ayurvedic centers, even online resources that are dedicated to holistic vision care.
Right.
Those can all be great starting points.
So many resources out there.
There
It's
are.
like opening a door to a whole new realm of possibilities.
It is, and as with any new health practice, it's always a good idea to consult with a qualified healthcare professional.
Of course.
Especially if you have any underlying eye conditions,
Right.
they can help you create a safe and effective approach that complements your overall health plan.
Great advice. So as we wrap up this fascinating deep dive,
Yeah.
what's the one message you want listeners to take away?
I think the most important message is that there's more to vision care than just glasses.
Hmm.
It's really a holistic process that involves taking care of your mental well-being, adjusting your diet,
Right.
and incorporating specific exercises and practices to strengthen your eyes and improve circulation.
That's a great takeaway. It's empowering to know that we have more control over our health than we realize.
Absolutely. And remember, knowledge is power, right?
Yeah.
The more we understand about our bodies and how they work,
Uh,
the better equipped we are to make informed choices about our health.
I couldn't agree more. Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into natural vision improvement. I hope you found it as fascinating as I did. And remember, taking care of your eyes is an investment in your overall well-being. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and keep exploring the amazing world of natural wellness.